Welcome to Morogrim on Ascended. This fight have 3 waves. On each wave, half of it will come from the north and the other half will come from the south. Healer wave, melee wave, and ranged wave. Healer wave have small murlocs and 3 to 5 big murlocs with the same name and appearance. These have an AoE healing aura. Additionally, there will spawn a healer murloc on top of the rock in the middle with a healing aura across the whole room. On Ascended, this murloc have a immunity shield, but you can basically purge it to take it down for about 8 seconds. Melee wave have small murlocs and a unique warrior murloc. This murloc have an aura that benefit nearby murlocs with reduced damage from bubble explosion by 90%. The unique murloc also have AoE knockup, which can be hard to forget. Ranged wave have small murlocs with an AoE slow aura, and a unique murloc that casts Frostbolt on the closest target. He will also teleport randomly around the room every 20% health he loses. The first wave will spawn 30 seconds after pull, and after that, a new wave will spawn every 60 seconds. From the water pits created by a leak in the roof, there will sometimes spawn a small bubble. These will seek nearby targets, such as players, totems, or pets. When they reach their target, they will pop, stunning everyone close to it for about 8 seconds. I would imagine a lot of players didn't know about this from observation. On Ascended, you will find the health of the boss to be 30 million on 10 man and 100 million on 25 man. You simply do not win this fight by damaging the boss, especially with everything else going on. At least not on progress. If you ask me, when you're a new player, I wouldn't want you to hit the boss at all. Just to prove a point. I will get to this very soon. Every 30 seconds, at the start of a wave, and between them, there will be a bubble party. There will be 1 to 3 rising bubbles cast on the raid, depending on the players you bring, which is a spell cast on random players that entrap them in a water bubble which rise upwards. After about 15 seconds, you will die and then fall. You can attack the bubble to break players out before this. On Heroic, in Bubble Party, it's only rising bubbles. But on Ascended, they have invited a Big Bubble. Big Bubble is the added Ascended mechanic to this fight, which changes the fight entirely, looking away from the health increase from the boss. The way Big Bubble works is that it spawns in the middle of the room, between the 2 rocks, and you can damage it. It has a health bar, but the health bar doesn't go down from the damage it takes. It's more or less a timer. You can't, if you deal more damage to the bubble, it will not lose health. It's just a timer. However, if you deal 1 damage to the big bubble, it will later deal 10 damage when it explodes. It explodes when it dies. This damage is shared equally amongst all targets that gets affected by the explosion. For example, if you deal 1 million damage to the bubble, it will explode later for 10 million damage, which makes sense. But if you have two targets hit by the explosion, for example the boss and a small murloc, then 5 million of that damage will go to the boss, and 5 million of that damage will go to the small murloc. And the small murloc have 100,000 HP, so it will instantly die. But it will take 4.9 million overkill, which could have been put on the boss, just to give an example. On top of this, the big bubble will move in the opposite direction of where it takes the most hits from. So if you have 10 people from the south hitting it, and 2 players from the north, it will obviously go towards the north. So this way you can actually try and move it in the direction you want. Usually when it spawns, you will have rising bubbles and the big bubble. So usually ranged are busy with attacking the rising bubble, which gives melee the opportunity to take control over the big bubble and make it walk towards the boss at the start. Usually the problem with when you have problems with the big bubble is when ranged DPS attack it too fast and it starts walking away from the boss. The big bubble can be crowd controlled by stun and snare. It can also be knocked back the way you want it. This makes improved hamstring, Hammer of Justice, and Thunderstorm for every single melee good results. Kidney Shot can also be used if you generate combo points, as it doesn't share diminishing returns with other stuns. I would not recommend to charge the bubble, as it would give the bubble immune to snare after a while. It's also good to communicate so that one player use crowd control at a time. If multiple people use the same crowd control, it will lower the duration of the crowd control. So don't use charge to get to the bubble, and communicate the crowd control so that you use it one at a time. If you don't do that, then it will get immune to your crowd control and you won't be able to use them on it. That's the fight, guys. So let's try and put this into something that makes sense. On 10 man, it's recommended to tank the boss here, due to the frostbolts and limited healing. On 25 man, it's recommended to tank the boss in the middle, around here. Make sure to face the boss away from the raid, as he has frost breath. Before you start, you want to figure out who tanks the boss and who tanks the adds. Vigilance and AoE taunt helps. Basically, before the big bubbles pop, you want all the adds grouped so that they are affected by it. I usually stand here as off tank, picking up the adds on the north side, and then walking down to pick up the adds from the south. The further north you stand from there is a higher chance of delayed help when you get targeted by Rising Bubble. First, we have wave 1. Here we want to split the damage. Ranged on the healer Murloc on the rock, melee on the big bubble. This bubble will pop and kill the adds, but also damage the healer. When the next big bubble spawns, you want to kill off the healer and have everyone damage the bubble afterwards, and then pop it only on the boss. Then comes wave 2. Here, we want everyone nuking down the warrior ads and ignoring the big bubble. Depending on how much AoE you got, it's possible to kill off the ads. There is 3 different options for the next big bubble. If you have enough AoE damage, you can pop it on the boss, meaning that you kill off the warrior and the ads when wave 2 spawns, which means that this big bubble don't have any targets around where you can basically put it on the boss. If you have ads left, then you can simply pop the bubble on the ads. But there's a third option, which is bringing the ads away from the boss so that you can pop it only on the boss. Basically, kill off the ads later in the fight. Finally, we have wave 3. Here we want to attack the bubble to kill off the remaining ads. The bubble that comes afterwards is the most valuable bubble in the whole fight. This is where you want to pop heroism, all your cooldowns, and so on. This is where you really want to damage the boss. As a off-tank, you can run up to the caster at and tank it after the first bubble pops with wave 3. This limits the chance of it suddenly walking down and basically splitting the damage. This happens sometimes. Usually we do not care too much about the caster, especially on 10 man, and then we just heal the damage cost. And then, repeat. Thanks for watching guys, and good luck!